knowing that she was in so much pain and knowing that it was just pure torture for her, and knowing that there was absolutely nothing that I could do about it. That was extremely difficult for me because I just felt, like I said, I felt helpless. I felt hopeless. I didn't know what to do. I wanted more than anything to be able to come to her rescue, to be able to say, all right, I got you. Let's fix this. Let's solve this. Let's get you healthy. Let's get you well. Let's cure you. But I couldn't. That's not in my power. And I just went into this really dark, depressed state, and I didn't really share that with everybody around me because I still got to function. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I still have, I got life to take care of, and a family or whatnot that understands, my wife and son, they understand, it's not like I felt any type of pressure to be super strong or any of that. That's just kind of like my nature, it's kind of like who I am. I like to have my stuff together for the most part, and be somebody that they can depend on, somebody they can rely on and whatnot. I'm always the person that tries to come up with solutions and answers, and I want people to come to me with their problems, right? And so I'm used to being the strong, level-headed one. And so with that whole situation that my mother was going through, the pain and everything she was going through, the timelines and everything are just skewed, for me. I don't remember when I got the information first or when she said, the cancer's back and whatnot. I don't remember all of that. I just know that it felt like forever. It could have been a year. It could have been, it's just, I feel like we were dealing with that for so long, as far as like her having to go through all of that. I didn't know that from when I wrote that song, It Ain't Over, and I performed it in September 2023, I didn't know that May 2024 was, that's how long that time was in between me performing that song and her actually passing away. I thought that I did that song so much longer ago, but the thing was, and that's why I say when I was talking to my wife about it, I was like, man, I performed that in September, and then May the following year, she passed away, and I felt like there was so much more time in between those 2 points. And she was like, yeah, it seems like that, but that's because of what you were going through and what you were dealing with, And it's like, yeah, I mean, my days were so long. My days were so much longer, the minutes, the hours, all of that was so much longer because every day I was worrying. Every day I was depressed. Every day I was sad. Every day I was sad. I was constantly sad on the inside, whether you could see it on the outside or not, from whatever smile I decided to put on at the moment. But I was constantly sad. It's almost like the Avengers movie when the Hulk explained that. They're like, how do you keep yourself from just losing it and becoming uncontrollable or unstable? What is your trick? And he was like, I'm always angry. That's kind of what it was for me. I was always sad. Being sad every day, being depressed every day, worrying every day, randomly tearing up every day. It was a daily thing. That whole 2023 and all of that, I was just always sad. I was always sad. And that's why it felt like so much time passed by, but it really wasn't. It felt like forever. Knowing that somebody that I loved so much, my mother, who raised me by herself, did everything she could to provide for me and my 4 older sisters, just give us the life that we could have that fighting chance that, like being somebody in life and not just feeling stuck or anything. She did everything she could to just try to take care of her babies and give them a chance, super important. Her presence was huge in our lives. I talked to her on the phone for hours and hours and stuff like that, and we just talk and laugh. I'd always try to find ways to do something funny to brighten her days and whatnot. Even before cancer came back, I just enjoyed having long talks with my mother over the phone, especially with me being in New York and her being back home in Texas. And so those phone calls meant a lot to me, being able to just hear her voice and hear her laugh. And even with me posting on social media and seeing her comments on them, it was like a huge, part of my day, knowing that, my mom's going to comment. I just knew it, at some point in time, it was to be expected, because she had a consistency about her, and she'd always leave a comment. And with the cancer and everything, and I can't imagine, what was going on in her head as far as like knowing how bad everything was and how much worse it was going to get, and losing those certain functions, to where she couldn't type anymore and without discomfort and whatnot. So, I went from seeing my mother's comments on my post to not seeing her comment at all. And it's like I was losing her even while she was here, even while she was still with us, we were losing her. From going to talking on the phone, having those long conversations and just that great time, just being able to enjoy each other, and to her not being able to talk, because she was losing her voice and all of these things that happened. And I was like, man, I can't even talk to my mother. She can't talk. She's physically incapable of talking and having a conversation with me. Like, she was just in so much pain and dealing with so much. So I lost that, so no more comments, no more phone conversations. It was just like, it was crazy. And then, I think they dialed back on the prescriptions or whatever it was they was giving her at that moment for treatment, and to where she could talk. I just cherished all of that time that we were getting, when I went down there to visit and just spend that time, because I knew that I was like, we're in the last moments. And it's difficult. It's difficult. And this was May 2024, May 14th, 2024, and I'm still picking up the pieces of me. You know what I'm saying? I'm still putting myself back together, and it's not easy, and like I don't think that it does get better. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't really like the way that's even, how that sentence even sounds. It doesn't get better. I think you learn to still be productive and to function with that void, with that hole in your heart. You learn how to go through the motions of life again, and how to go through your daily activities and continue being that father and that husband and all of these things, and to find some happiness and some enjoyment for life and whatnot. But that hole will always be there. You know what I'm saying? That hurt. I'll probably randomly tear up for the rest of my life. But we're healing. We're healing right now. My wife went through the same thing. She lost her mother. So 2020, 2024 was a bad year for both of us. And we're grieving together. You know what I'm saying? She's being there for me and I'm being there for her, and we're just grieving together. You know, and it helps. It definitely helps having that person by your side that's there to lift you up when you don't have the strength, and vice versa. There's still a lot of life left to live, you know, at least I hope so. I'm gonna try to do everything that I can because I feel like I'm my mother's contribution to this earth. I feel a duty, a sense of duty and purpose or whatnot. To make it like I'm here. I'm definitely here for a reason. You know, I got work to do. I've done some great things, and I want to keep piling on top of that. She's already proud, right? She's already proud. But when it's all said and done, I want her to be like, man, well done, son. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. That's what it is. So I just wanted to share that, you know, grief is something, man. Grief is something, you know, loved ones, family, friends, all that stuff is like relationships, people in your life. Cherish these moments and these times that you have with people because you never know. Anything can happen. Anything can happen at any given moment. You know, it's no guarantee that when you leave outside the door that you're coming back home. There's no guarantee about that. So appreciate these moments. Don't become complacent. Like, be present, be here, be where you are. Sounds simple, sounds basic. Be where you are. A huge part of life is about relationships, the relationships we have with everybody around us. Continue to give time, attention, love, loyalty, effort, and respect to yourself and to others. I love me. I love y'all. Look in the mirror, tell yourself you love you, and I will see you next time.